Arab uprisings triggered the flight of hundreds of thousands of Asian migrant workers. This group has often been vulnerable to exploitation and lack of protections in recruitment, employment, and as Libya has shown, in returning home. Today in Libya, some are starting to return to work, while others are still trying to find their place in a post-Gaddafi Libya. I'm Yara Mulham. On this edition of 101 East, we look at Asian migrant workers in war-torn Libya.
A new day in a new Libya and new opportunities for those looking for them. For these Bangladeshis in Libya's capital Tripoli, these opportunities mean jobs, moving towards a better future and trying to sweep away memories of a Libya they'd rather forget.
We were very afraid during the fighting. Sometimes we saw the NATO bombings. Sometimes we saw the two-side fighting. And sometimes the firing in the street. We were always afraid.
Despite their fear, many migrant workers felt they had no choice but to stay during Libya's civil war.
Now I am working. What would I do if I go back to Bangladesh? I'm a poor man. I have to work.
Migrant workers in this plastics factory worked through the revolution.
Every day my mother would cry. She would say, "Come back, my son. I don't need the money. I need you. I want to see you." But I thought, we are poor people. If I go back to Bangladesh, what would I do? How could I earn money? I work here, I earn money, and I send it to them.
Many migrants have paid significant money to actually get the opportunity to come to Libya, whether that's legally or illegally. Many have come from areas or countries and areas within those countries where there is problems with employment and poverty. They're going back to something which is a potentially far worse situation than their experience in their mind than they're experiencing here in Libya.
It was here in the eastern city of Benghazi that Libyans first dared to rise up against Muammar Gaddafi's 42-year regime. The city has been left largely unscathed by the war, with the revolutionaries quickly banding together to gain control of the east. But with war raging across other parts of Libya, countries rushed to evacuate their nationals.
When the war broke out, basically you had a massive number of people who were trying to get out of the country. A lot of the countries who had nationals here were able to organize evacuation, but a lot of them didn't, and so it was a scramble, either on boats leaving from Tripoli, or abroad, both in Egypt and in Tunisia.
Libya is a country of destination. I mean, it's a country of great economic opportunity. It's a very small population of under 7 million Libyan nationals. There was a population of at least 1 million migrant workers to feed the demand from not just the oil industry, but other sectors of the economy.
Could you tell us how many Asian migrant workers fled during the war?
Of the 780,000 migrants that have left Libya since the onset of the crisis, it would be over 38,000 Bangladeshis, for example.
With many yet to return, today there's a labour shortage. On the outskirts of Benghazi, a ghost town. Chinese-made, but incomplete. Construction manager Ibrahim Masmari tells me his company's 11,000-strong Chinese workforce are all gone.
Of course, the Chinese wanted to leave the country because it was not safe here. They feared for themselves and they didn't know how the situation could turn. This is about the biggest housing project in Libya.
20,000 apartments, unfinished, empty and unsellable. Construction was supposed to be complete by June, but now the project will take at least another 2 years.
Inshallah, in February, some of the administrators will return here and prepare everything for the Chinese workers to come back here.
At least 90% of projects stopped. We have projects signed under execution, value of at least $100 billion. And all these stopped.
How much money did Libya lose?
Well, actually, I don't consider it loss. This is the price we pay to get our freedom. Whatever the amount is deserved to gain our freedom again. We have a lot of people injured, a lot of people killed, a lot of people disappeared, and this is all price. Really, the government and the people, the money side for us is not important. The important we got our freedom, and hopefully will compensate the losses we had.
That'll be welcome news for companies, recruiters and employees.
You know, during the war, demolished a lot of building, everything. This one they need to repair, and this government is going to pay them compensation. So once they get the compensation, they need workers to build this country, build their houses and all these things. So our workers are working there now.
Recruiter Abdul Manan is showing me around an underground employee compound. Many Bangladeshis who are working here illegally call these corridors home.
All Misrata people knows here is Bangladeshi workers, like skilled workers, semi-skilled, non-skilled are here. Whoever need the workers, they come here. So it's a place for them as market, you know.
These men lived in these tiny cells throughout the war, braving the fighting, waiting for its end so they could get back to work.
These workers all was working in the foreign company here, you know, construction company. Where during the war, the company all left, so their passport also with the company.
Without passports, Bangladeshis can't get work permits, known locally as ikama, so they're not protected by the law.
No one have akama before, because during the war they never issue akama anything. So no one have akama, and they lost their passport. So they applied for passport, and they already most of them got passport from the embassy. They are waiting for their akama to work here legally.
Over 90% of the migrant population has no form of documentation, no passport, no ID of any form. The number one challenge is proving their identity and legalizing or regularizing their status. So passport issuance, identity document issuance, and obtaining the work permit so that they can continue their work here.
We just started now. We want to legalize every labor we have in the country, because a lot of people, they don't have permissions or they don't have visas. We will, and we started new regulations with the new workers that will be coming, simplify them with the fees of their coming is much less. We have given notice until 4th of March for all the foreign labor in Libya have to legalize themselves maximum by 4th of March.
These are the boys. During the war, they went back Bangladesh, and after the war, they came back.
These men left the country just before the Libyan crisis began and returned 2 months ago.
Just before the war started, it was time for us to take leave. I sensed that war was coming, so I thought, why don't I go back and see what the situation is when I'm back home? Then if things are okay, then we come back. We went through so much struggle to come here. We need some money for our daily expenses.
Illegal workers are now proving to be a challenging problem for this new nation.
How did you come from Sudan to Libya? How did you come over here? Car. And and you pay money to come here.
These men have been smuggled into Libya from Sudan. The smugglers have taken their passports.
And that's your passport number there.
Some only have their passport serial numbers. The lucky ones have a photocopy. Border police picked them up and sent them to this detention centre in Benghazi.
Why do you want to come to Libya now? Because the situation is still, a bit fluid, a bit uncertain. Are you not afraid of the security or the lack of security?
More than 600 people are housed here, 50 of them Bangladeshi. The UNHCR and humanitarian relief agency Libaid are providing support.
It is important to make sure their safety, their protection, to walk around the country. It's a new experience for us, for the Asians to come without any permission.
What sort of risks are they exposed to?
Well, being arrested, basically. Being arrested in a situation where the security is not, completely under control, in the sense of you have different brigades ensuring security in different parts of the country still. Things are not fully centralized. This is happening progressively. And so people without documentation basically are at risk of being, maltreated, arrested with no specific procedures, so it is a risk, and it's a problem also for the Libyan authorities.
While most were willingly smuggled into the country, some fell victim to traffickers.
An agent in Bangladesh sent us to Sudan. Even though we weren't supposed to go there, we signed up for another country, but we were cheated by our agent. After 4 years of struggle and suffering in Sudan, we came to Libya and were arrested by police.
We believe if Bangladeshi embassy come forward to assist us, for sure we will be released. So I am desperately requesting the Bangladesh embassy to help us.
These men are desperate to leave and desperate to work.
Do you want to stay in Libya? Do you want to work here in Libya?
An emphatic yes from all of them.
Any people who came illegal, we agreed with their embassies that they have to be returned back. Because they come, freelancers, they don't have employer, And under the rules, new rules, we want the new labor who comes who has an employer. And the employer will take the responsibility.
We've just arrived to Nalut Hospital, about 4 hours southwest of Tripoli. We've heard that there's some North Korean doctors and nurses here. Now, they're quite afraid of outsiders, but hopefully we get to speak to a couple of them.
We got. I was Jazeera, man.
Korea. We are looking for North Korean doctors.
Yes, actually, we've just spoken to
all of them refuse to make a anything you need.
Why do they refuse?
Don't know.
I'd like to try, in any case.
Okay, no problem. I will help you.
Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim tells me there are about a dozen North Korean doctors and nurses at this hospital. While most countries evacuated their nationals during the war, South Korean media reported that the 200 or so North Koreans working in Libya had been banned from returning home by their government amid fears they may import the revolution that toppled Gaddafi.
Did they want to stay here or did they want to leave?
I think they had no option to go outside Libya and leave the country during the crisis.
Hi, how are you?
As you see, he is nervous, tense, 35.
After knocking on 4 or 5 doors,
Hello, Dr. Shah, how are you? Your friend?
I'm Yara. How are you? I'm from Al Jazeera English.
finally,
my country,
Dr. Cho tells me his government asked him to stay in Libya.
North Korea want my country help
To help
Libya people.
Dr. Cho says it's his duty to have stayed in Libya. He wants to show me how fiercely patriotic his people are.
North Korea TV.
This is his funeral when Kim Jong-il died.
Kim Jong-il died. My country people love he president. 당신들 이거 보십시오. 이거 텔레비전이.
Look at this on TV. We are all one family with our revered leader Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung.
North Korea's late leader Kim Jong-il died last December, and the loss makes Dr. Cho only more determined to follow his dear leader's wishes.
리비아에서 혁명이 일어났을 때
When the revolution took place in Libya, all our Korean doctors and nurses stayed to help the Libyan people. I think this is in line with spirits of international Red Cross and kind gesture of our dear general for Libyan people. When there were bomb explosions and people were dying everywhere, other nationality doctors and nurses were so scared they fled. Our doctors and nurses never ran but stayed here and battled their way into treating the wounded. This has been our general's wish, but suddenly, so unexpectedly, our general has passed away, and we are only upholding his dignity.
Dr. Cho is a chief anaesthetist at the hospital. In one of the hospital rooms, he links North Koreans staying in Libya to wider political issues in his home country.
We of the People's Republic have been living more or less like a state of war, thanks to terrorist Americans and South Koreans always practicing war. Our country was always in permanent political unstableness, and we are used to that. This revolution that is taking place in Libya, we are used to that, and it's not scaring us. That's why we do not wish for war, but at the same time, we are not scared of it. America has been picking on us, on our nuclear issue, and forever trying to impose sanctions and collapse our country. They will try everything. But we are in unity under our great leader's leadership. We are as one.
Reports of North Koreans being ordered to stay here is something the new Libyan government is aware of.
I heard, but I didn't follow it up really. We were busy with so many big issues, that. But this is one of the funny stories we heard,
For someone who, obviously you appreciate the revolution, it doesn't concern you at all, or?
No, many countries are scared with the Arab uprising. So it's one of them is North Korea. North Korea, for them, this is a nightmare. That one day they find their people marching against them. We expect this, the Arab uprising, once more stories succeed. I think some of the countries which still have dictatorship, their people will move.
The port city of Misrata saw heavy fighting between Gaddafi loyalists and the revolutionaries, a rebel stronghold. The scars of war are still visible. And the memories of Asian migrants who were there still vivid. These Bangladeshi men were given an unenviable task.
They call us for assistance, so we came. They give us food and shelter, so we came and helped them.
Rows upon rows of unmarked graves on a site a stone's throw away from the sea. They tell me they buried Gaddafi fighters here.
We know because of their uniforms. We saw people without hands, without legs, without head. Many bodies came. Some of the bodies were dead for 2 or 3 days. And I know from the smell how long they've been dead for.
It's loyalty from Bangladeshis such as these which makes Abdul Manan believe these workers are highly prized in Libya.
During the war, our people work here. They was here, you know. They carried dead body, they carried wounded people, and especially our nurses, they never leave Libya during the war. They work here.
Ramisa was one such nurse. She worked in Misrata Hospital until she became the one needing treatment.
I heard a big sound from the window and I looked there. I saw a ball of light and my hand became numb. And after that, I saw my whole body covered in blood. The splinter went inside and broke the bone here, and there was a fracture down here. I was hit on my forehead on this side and also on my chest.
After a week in hospital, she was evacuated to Benghazi and then sent back home to Bangladesh. Despite her injuries, she was determined to return to Libya.
My family didn't want me to come back to Libya. My husband was very reluctant, but after discussion, finally he compromised. I have come to Libya to work. I don't like to work in Bangladeshi hospitals. I like the Libyan hospital, lifestyle and work environment. I want to stay here, work here. I wish to bring my husband and my son.
The effects on the war for migrant workers are not only physical. This Bangladeshi couple were stuck in Tawargha, a Gaddafi loyalist city that was one of the last to fall to the rebels.
Tawargha was badly hit during the war. What was it like?
We were suffering from lack of food and water. There wasn't any electricity. There was no light, no air. There were no doctors. We were living in perpetual fear.
Forced to stay by loyalists, their baby was born during the fighting.
We wanted to go back to Bangladesh, but they told me that there won't be any problems, and there was no need to go back.
They left Tawargha just a couple of days before the city was taken by the rebels and lost almost everything.
I had dollars and also Bangladeshi currency. I had gold jewelry. I had Libyan dinars, passport, my child's ID card, birth certificate, my certificate. I left Tawargha with just my baby and this bag. Nothing else.
Most Misratans know of Haroon. He's a bit of a man about town.
My name is Harun Urushi. I came here about 1 year and 6 months ago.
As the interview progresses, Haroon struggles to answer my questions in his native tongue and switches to Arabic.
I just speak Arabic now. I've forgotten how to speak Bangla.
Haroon, a Bangladeshi, stayed with the revolutionary fighters and proudly wears the Libyan flag scarf.
I went to the hospital and made tea and coffee for people there for free. My manager said to me, Harun, don't go back to Bangladesh. I can die and you can die. I can stay and you can stay. It's whatever God wills. So I said okay and stayed. I was at the checkpoints giving out tea and coffee to the fighters. Now I will stay in Libya. I will not go back to Bangladesh anymore. Libya is good and I want to stay here.
While there are many challenges ahead in creating a new Libya, Asian workers are set to play an integral role in the future growth and rebuilding of this war-torn nation.